Using Ahrefs to optimize B2B email campaigns. Cold email is noisier, so your targeting has to be smarter. If your inbox is anything like ours, you've seen the same pattern. The world doesn't need more generic B2B cold emails, and your buyers don't have time to decode vague, quick question messages. In 2025, average B2B cold email performance sits around 27.7% opens, 5.1% replies, and roughly 1% turning into meetings. That's the baseline reality most teams are fighting. The good news is that buyers are leaving a trail of intent long before they respond to an SDR. They search for problems, read solution pages, compare vendors, and publish their own content about what matters internally. When we connect those signals to Outbound, our emails stop sounding like guesses and start sounding like context. This is where Ahrefs becomes more than an SEO tool. Used correctly, it turns your cold email agency motion into a relevance engine. Better account selection, better segmentation, and better message themes that consistently lift replies and meetings. At SalesHive, we treat this as the bridge between what the market is researching and what your outbound sales agency should be saying. Why Ahrefs belongs in your outbound stack, not just marketing. Most B2B buyers do their homework online before they ever talk to sales. Research shows 88% of B2B buyers conduct online research before purchase and consume about 13 pieces of content across vendors and third parties. If your SDRs aren't grounded in that language and content, they're trying to start a conversation halfway through the buyer journey. Ahrefs gives you a live map of that research behavior at scale, with a keyword index of 28.7 bin terms and a link database of 35 tin backlinks. It also tracks an enormous content universe, including 456.5 billion pages indexed and about 10 million new pages discovered daily. That's not SEO trivia, it's sales intelligence you can route into segmentation, personalization, and timely triggers. When teams ask us whether this is worth the effort, we point to the simplest truth. Outbound performance varies wildly based on relevance. Even across all B2B email, not just cold, average open rates are around 36.7%, and email is often cited as delivering roughly $46 to 1 ROI, but only when the message matches the buyer and moment. Ahrefs helps you earn that match instead of hoping for it. Use Site Explorer to prioritize accounts by intent, not vanity metrics. The fastest Ahrefs win for an SDR agency or an internal sales team is account prioritization. Instead of chasing domain rating as a proxy for good companies, we recommend prioritizing domains by which pages drive organic traffic and which keywords those pages rank for. A smaller site ranking for high-intent queries like problem software is often a hotter prospect than a huge brand ranking for broad thought leadership. In Site Explorer, focus on top pages and organic keywords. Then, translate what you see into a practical theme tag for routing prospects into the right sequence. If a company's top pages cluster around compliance, your opener should reflect compliance risk and audits. If their traffic centers on integrations, your copy should reflect tool sprawl and operational friction. This keeps your outsourced sales team from running one generic sequence across wildly different buyer contexts. We also recommend using Site Explorer to spot buying signals that don't require guesswork. Paid keyword activity, new solution pages, and sudden traffic movement around product terms can all indicate internal priorities shifting. Treat those as prioritization inputs for your cold email agency playbooks, alongside your normal firmographic and technographic filters. Build keyword-clustered sequences that personalize without snowflake writing. Most teams either go too generic, one sequence for everyone, or too bespoke, handcrafted emails that don't scale. The practical middle ground is keyword-clustered sequences. Pick 10 to 15 high-intent keywords from Keywords Explorer, cluster them into 3 to 5 themes, and write one sequence per theme. Each prospect gets mapped to the theme that best matches the pages they publish or rank for. This is also how you unlock personalization that actually moves numbers. Personalized subject lines have been shown to drive 46% opens versus 35% without personalization, and replies can jump from 3% to 7%, a 133% lift. The point isn't to paste keywords into subject lines. It's to use Ahrefs to learn the prospect's vocabulary, then rewrite it as human language that signals this is for you. In our campaigns at SalesHive, we pair cluster-based messaging with scalable personalization so it stays natural. If a keyword suggests manual invoice processing, the email should translate that into a conversational angle like, teams usually get buried in approvals and exceptions, not keyword-stuffed copy. That approach aligns with broader findings that personalized cold emails drive about 32% higher response rates overall. Relevance isn't a writing talent. It's a data advantage you can operationalize. Turn Content Explorer and alerts into timely outbound triggers. Static outbound loses because it ignores recency. Content Explorer helps you find who is actively publishing about your problem space, and Ahrefs alerts helps you see when target accounts launch new pages, gain links, or begin ranking for new terms. Those changes are a built-in reason to reach out with a short, specific opener that feels current instead of canned. The most reliable trigger-based emails are simple. Reference the new post, page, or shift and connect it to a customer outcome. When Ahrefs is discovering about 10 million new pages per day across a corpus of 456.5 billion indexed pages, you can consistently find fresh angles that match what the account is working on right now. That's especially useful for SDR teams that need leverage without adding hours of manual research. Once you're using triggers, segmentation becomes the multiplier. B2B email programs using advanced segmentation have been reported to generate 64% more conversions, and Ahrefs makes segmentation practical because it lets you segment by topic and intent rather than by broad industry labels alone. In other words, you can build segments around real problems, compliance, integrations, manual workflows, and let the account's content decide which bucket they belong to. Common mistakes that neutralize Ahrefs and how to fix them. The biggest mistake we see is treating Ahrefs as marketing's tool and never operationalizing it for sales development. When SEO and Outbound live in separate universes, your team guesses at pain points while marketing sits on clear signals about what buyers search and read. The fix is straightforward. Give your SDR lead access to Ahrefs or a recurring export, and bake the top pages, keywords, and content themes into your outbound playbooks. Another common error is prioritizing targets by domain rating rather than ICP fit and intent. DR is useful for link building, but it's a weak proxy for will they buy, and it often pushes teams toward big logos that are a poor match. The fix is to sort by traffic to high-intent pages and the keywords driving that traffic. Then layer in your normal data enrichment so your list-building services are feeding the right segments. Finally, teams hurt performance by tracking the wrong KPIs and writing the wrong way. Opens are noisy, privacy changes inflate them, and copying keywords directly into copy makes emails feel spammy. The fix is to tag each prospect with an Ahrefs theme, measure reply rate and meetings by theme, and translate keyword intent into natural language that an executive would actually use in conversation. Optimization. Test themes, not templates, and build a shared SEO-to-SDR dashboard. Once you've mapped accounts to themes and built clustered sequences, the next level is rigorous testing. We recommend A/B testing subject lines based on two different long-tail phrasings that describe the same problem, then comparing outcomes on replies and meetings, not just opens. This keeps the program aligned with pipeline, especially when open rates can be misleading even if the broader B2B average is around 36.7%. Operationally, The cleanest workflow is a shared monthly export from marketing to sales. New keywords, new top pages, and competitor content gaps all pulled from Ahrefs. Sales then turns those line items into testable angles and routes them into sequences while reporting performance back by theme. That feedback loop improves both sides. Marketing learns what topics generate conversations, and the SDR team stops relying on generic outreach. If you run a multi-channel motion, this integrates naturally with sales outsourcing beyond email. The same theme tags that power email can inform LinkedIn outreach services and even scripts for B2B cold calling services, so your cold callers aren't dialing with generic openers. Whether you're building internally or partnering with an SDR agency, the point is consistency. One set of market signals feeding every channel. Next steps. A simple 30-day rollout that scales with your team. If you want a practical starting point, run a 30-day pilot instead of a big rebuild. In week 1, map your top 50 to 100 accounts in Site Explorer and assign each account 1 or 2 dominant themes based on top pages and keywords. In weeks 2 and 3, launch 3 clustered sequences tied to those themes. And in week 4, review performance by theme and adjust the messaging where replies and meetings lag the 5.1% and 1.0% benchmarks. Make refresh cadence part of the system, not an afterthought. A monthly Ahrefs review is enough for most categories because rankings don't flip overnight, but content and triggers keep arriving as Ahrefs discovers roughly 10 million pages per day. If you're in a fast-moving category, a light weekly check on your top accounts can keep your outbound timely without creating operational chaos. If you don't have bandwidth to run this internally, partnering can be the fastest path to execution. SalesHive operates as a B2B sales agency with an outbound engine that combines cold email, sales development, list building, and optional cold calling services, so the Ahrefs insights don't stay stuck in a spreadsheet. Whether you hire SDRs in-house or work with a sales development agency, the goal is the same. Use search and content signals to earn relevance, then measure success on replies, meetings, and pipeline.